This is a court-ordered remedy for a human rights violation, and quite a tragedy, really, that took place over generations in Nova Scotia and throughout other jurisdictions in North America. And we've seen other jurisdictions moving towards a new system, and that's the system Nova Scotia is moving towards, where we give people with disabilities choice of where they're going to live, how they're going to live, and be able to structure the supports they need to fit their individual case. So it's moving away from institutions and moving more towards individualized funding and choice for the individual that has disabilities and their families. So we're trying to move and modernize our system so that we meet individual needs, meet them where they are, provide the supports they need to exist out in community and contribute back to the community in many cases.
You know, we used to call them, I think, homes for special care, and there were big and small ones, but generally speaking, they were fairly large. And about, I'm going to guess now, say 3 years ago, almost as a pilot project, we started moving people out of the home in Yarmouth, and found very quickly that the people didn't want to just scatter in smaller places in Yarmouth. Some wanted to go back to their original home. And it found that the need was there to build some homes and some possibilities from Digby right around to Liverpool. And the same thing happened here as in the Sunset community. And they've come up with a neat novel idea, I guess you could call it, with these mini homes or smaller homes in a whole subdivision. But even here, we're finding people that are going to make a choice and maybe move to Amherst or Oxford or some other community. That's what it's about, but you're not dictating the terms. It looks like every community is taking their own approach. Is that fair?
Yeah, flexibility is a big part of the remedy. We're providing the opportunity for people to make their own way with targeted supports that they need. It's going to be very individualized. The funding will be individualized. And we are working with service providers across the province to make sure supports are in place for a whole myriad of supports that will support the people with disabilities in their community, but also gives people the flexibility to live in their community. They're not tied to a institution like they were before. They may live in an apartment. They may live with a roommate. They may live back in their traditional family home. We're trying to make things as flexible as possible so that people can make their own way in this world. They can have their own choices, but always keeping in mind that we need to have the supports in place so that they can have a bountiful life.
Some of those folks need constant round-the-clock care 24 hours a day, but that's really a minority. That's really some few. There are others who clearly can get by with a lot less support. But by spreading them out, obviously you can provide the services rather comfortably, maybe even efficiently, if everybody's housed in the same building. But once they move out, isn't this going to become a little more costly to provide the services they need?
It definitely will have, at least in the short term, impact on costs, because we have to provide more individualized type supports on a larger geographic area across the province. And so one of the things we've done, we've actually added to the budget in Nova Scotia. It was at about 500% more in some cases. So it's about $120 million we'll be spending this year. And a lot of that goes to individualized funding. So instead of going towards funding institutions, it's going towards funding programs and plans for individualized clients. But also we had to add staff, because we have to have staff present in more areas and more communities across the province. And we have to have regional coordinators and regional staff to make sure that we set up plans with our individual clients across the province. So we've expanded the number of staff we have that support people with disabilities across the province, and working directly with those people and their families and other representatives to make sure we have the proper supports in place. And as we move forward in implementing this human rights remedy that was court ordered, which philosophically we are totally behind. We have to ramp up our staff, have to ramp up training, and we need to train new staff members to meet the needs of the added demands of implementing the remedy. So we're working very hard to make sure we have the staff in place, the staff with the proper certifications and training across Nova Scotia to support the implementation of this remedy. And this is a 5-year plan. We're just finished year 2. We're moving into year 3. The first year was kind of planning. Last year we were kind of putting the foundational pieces in place in terms of staff and processes and regulations. And this year we're pleased to announce in January we stopped any intakes of new people into the institutions that remain in Nova Scotia, and we're starting to move more people out into community and their choice in the communities.
Now, you've used the word remedy a number of times here, and of course I know that's the new name, Nova Scotia Remedy. And I'm just curious, people don't really understand when they hear that, what we're talking about. Where did the name come from?
Well, it was a human rights remedy, which was court-ordered, right? So the courts often order remedies if there's something that's viewed as being discriminatory or there's been some sort of effect on people that was negative, and the courts determine that. So, this is, we call this the remedy that was put in place by the human rights remedy the court has ordered us to put forward as a province. And as I said before, we are totally supportive of the direction of the remedy. It is pushing us towards a structure that we've seen in other jurisdictions work very well, particularly British Columbia. And we're seeing, us slowly close the institutions down that remained in Nova Scotia, and providing the supports and the finances that would have gone to those institutions are now going more towards individuals who have disabilities, and they're able to put plans and procedures and support programs in place for their individual needs in the community where they want to live. So the remedy is really about providing our individuals who have disabilities choice of where they live, how they live, and who they live with.
Now, it's interesting and maybe a shame that it took the courts to tell us that what we were doing before was not the right way to treat people. And yet, as you move through, as we see it rolling out, I think there's not a man, woman, or a child anywhere in Nova Scotia who doesn't agree this is the right thing to do. Is that fair?
Absolutely. And, when you look throughout history, anytime we have people that have to live in what we used to call institutions. I mean, if you look back at orphanages, when children have lost their parents, they were at one time placed in orphanages. And now we have a robust foster child system in Nova Scotia and throughout the country. And I don't think anyone would suggest that we should go back to orphanages now when we have a much better system that's more individualized. This is very similar to that. This is a next step in supporting people in the community that have disabilities. It takes them out of an institutional setting and puts them into community with proper supports in place. And I think when we look back at 25 years, we will look back at this and say, well, we would never start up an institutionalized system again. This is much more supportive. It's much more modern, and it comes from a place of respect. And, I do want to talk a bit about the conference this weekend. It's the second Rebuilding Hope Conference. There were 1,200 people across Nova Scotia that participated in the first conference last year, and this is the second one. We're already sold out 2 locations. It runs in 4 different locations across the province simultaneously. It's hooked up virtually, so people can attend in person. It's free of charge, or they can come online. So you can participate in a lot of ways. It's very accessible, and it really is a way to hear back concerns and celebrations of success from across the province as we continue to move forward with the remedy in working directly and hearing from people involved in it, both at a staff level, at a client level, and at a potential employee level. It's a great way to unify the disability community across the province as we all work together to implement the remedy and support people with disabilities in Nova Scotia the very best way we can.
And this year's edition of the Remedy or the Hope Conference will take place in Middleton, Halifax, New Glasgow, and Sydney. Not entirely comfortable for people from Cumberland to attend, certainly. There was a pre-registration required, but you mentioned that 2 of them are now full. Does that mean the other 2 people can still register for?
Yep, you can still register to go in person in Middleton and in Sydney. You can also attend online. So if you go onto the website, you can attend online and participate that way as well. I mean, there will be many Nova Scotians that prefer to stay at home but want to hear the information, want to have input and take part in discussions. So it's a way that we can include everyone in the province instead of trying to gather everybody that's involved in one particular hotel or one spot. We're trying to be as inclusive as possible. We're providing 4 different locations and also the ability to join online.
And of course, it's very difficult on radio to give the URL, the online address, because they're all, the 6 feet long kind of with dashes and dots and everything else. But we'll put that on our website, hopecenter.ca, right there on the ticker that goes across the screen. People will be able to see exactly where it is and click on the link and take part. There's no pre-registration for the online portion, is there?
There is not, and you can join. Again, it's free of charge, and if you're more interested in learning more about how Nova Scotia is progressing in support of our disability community, and you want to give feedback to any suggestions, this is something we're working on with fever-like effort, and if anybody has any good ideas, we're always open to that. So we encourage as many people as possible to join in and have their say as we work together to try to make this remedy implementation as smooth and as effective as possible. And personally, I'm going to be attending 2 spots in the conference. I'm going to be going to Middleton in the morning and to Halifax in the afternoon. I hope to get to the other 2 next year, or the next conference we have. And I'm looking forward to meeting in person many people that have been involved in this. I'm a new minister. I really started this role in December. So, like as I said, it's my first conference, but I'm looking forward to talking to our clients and our stakeholders in person at least 2 of the 4 locations on Saturday.
And that's the Rebuilding Hope Conference. It's on Saturday, this Saturday, and from 9 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. And as I said, we'll post the online link for people to be able to get to that Eventbrite online presentation. Gives a couple of minutes left. I want to put you on the spot. You may or may not choose to answer this question, but every time we talk about this issue, and we talk about it a lot, I might add, because most people think it's high time and it's about right time for us to get on with this kind of a wholesale change to the way in which some people live in our province. And we're being told time and time again that the Sunset community in Pugwash, which also has operations in Oxford, is in many ways leading the province in its innovative effort to make this change. Are you prepared to say yes, they are, or do you want to just stay neutral?
Well, no, I can absolutely say that. There's many of our stakeholders across the province have fully embraced the court order and the remedy, and are working very closely with their clients and staff to try to make sure that we deliver this in a way that supports the entire disability community. So we have stakeholders, we have participants, we have clients, and we have great operations like the Sunset community who provide outstanding service to their clients who are working directly with us. I mean, this is not something government can do alone. This is not something the disability community can do alone. We need all Nova Scotians to pitch in and help as we implement this and support our disability community. And Bill, you know as I do, I've talked to employers all across Nova Scotia who are struggling to get staff and struggling to get workers. And we know that the disability community is an area where it's untapped. It's untapped labor potential. Many of our disabled Nova Scotians have great skills and can contribute if they have the proper supports in place. So I think working with our stakeholders, working with our clients, working with our staff across the province, this could be a great opportunity for employment, a great opportunity for people with disabilities to contribute to society, because they're going to be out in community now. They're not going to be in institutions. And when you're out in community and it provides you the opportunity to be employed, to give back, because, when we only have people located in certain set locations, a lot of times those opportunities aren't there. But when you're out in communities and spread across the province, there's greater opportunity for a disabled community to take part in greater society. They might be able to get short-term, part-time jobs. They might be able to contribute in other ways. But this is a good thing, not only for the disabled community, but for our greater communities as well.